Episode 2. So basically, I've been working since yesterday morning up until noon today. So I had no life, but I did end up finishing the book I was reading. Today I'm going to bring 2 book reviews to all you beautiful people out there. So it's snowing outside, and it looks absolutely perfect outside, especially for the 2 books that I'm reviewing today, because one of them is definitely a winter book in my eyes, and the other one is, well, I don't know. Cold? Slightly depressing. So the first book that I just finished is called Rise and Fall of the Nazis. So basically this book goes through the history of just the Nazi Party, their rise, their fall, everything that went on in World War II and the Holocaust from Germany's point of view, which is really interesting to see because obviously I live in Chicago and I've lived in America most of my life. And you do learn about the other sides, but you don't really hear much about the German side, unfortunately, or at least when I grew up in school, I never heard about it. This book gives you a really good introduction to everything that's gone on. If you're looking for something more detailed, more complex, I hate to say it, though I really love the book, you're not gonna find that in there. This is mostly photo-based. It kind of reads like a museum exhibit, which I really liked because what I was looking for was an overview. I come myself from a family that's gone through the Holocaust and through that time, so I wanted to learn more. Not to mention I read about this more, as I was growing up, and as well as in a book I read before I read this, which I'll get to. But this will give you a really good introduction. I think for people who don't know much about this period in time, this is a very good read. It's pretty simple, but the pictures definitely help with everything that you're reading. It is a little bit unclear of where the sources are coming from, though they do have some of that information in the front. I definitely would have liked to see where some of the sources were so I could research more. But as it said, this is a photographic record of the Third Reich and its downfall. So this did a really good job with just introducing us to that. It definitely gives you a good overview and just a good way to go. So there's that. So I had that book basically sitting on my shelf for God knows how long. I got it at a bookstore about 3 years ago. And I knew I was going to read it, but I didn't know when. The reason I actually took it out was, the book that I read previously is Marcus Zusak's The Book Thief. Let me start by saying that it's amazing. It's about this young girl, Liesel, and she loses her mother, and she's brought into a step family that is living in Germany. They are struggling a little bit, but they are a very loving family, and they are the Hubermans. So, of course, all of this is during the time of the Nazi regime, and as they were coming to power, you see Kristallnacht in this book, which was when the Nazis destroyed Jewish businesses, Jewish homes, and all kinds of, it was all in a period of one night. You also see book burnings, obviously. Liesel, she, at her brother's funeral, a grave digger drops a book on the ground, and she goes and picks it up, and she doesn't really know how to read. The father that she now comes to know and love, Hans Huberman, basically teaches her how to read, even though he himself is not the best reader in the world. So they kind of teach each other how to read, which builds this amazing relationship between the two. And as time goes on, you see the bond that Liesel forms with all the people around her, including her mother, her neighbor Rudy, who is absolutely awesome. You just see her growing up, and she's a little out of place, which is what I really like about her as a character. She kind of knows she's out of place, and it takes a little time for her to kind of get the ball rolling in terms of finding friends and just finding a place to fit in. And I think that's one of the most awesome things because you kind of feel like you're there with her. And you kind of feel like you're a little out of place in this story, too. I'm not sure if everyone else feels like that, but I definitely felt like I was walking along with her, meeting all these people, having these relationships, because the way Zuzak writes about it is just absolutely amazing. The story gets a little bit more intense because we are introduced to Max, who comes to the Huberman's house and hides there as he's Jewish. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's such an incredible roller coaster ride. It really renewed my love of characters and reading, and just reassured me how much I love to read and write characters, and why I love books that are so character driven, because these characters you really connect with. And I hate to say it, and I'm not going to give anything away, and at the end you're so happy, but at the same time, even I found myself in some tears. It's really hard not to. You'll kind of just be trying to protect Liesel, the main character, on your own. I mean, she's this little girl, and you kind of know from the narrator that something's gonna happen. It may not be good, and you just feel yourself not wanting to continue on for the sole purpose of being able to see Liesel happy, and you don't want to see her get hurt. That's all I'm going to say, because it will give it away. This is an awesome book. It's actually narrated by Death, which I find really interesting, because that can go either way. And Marcus did it really, really, really well. Here is a small fact. You are going to die. It says, reaction to the aforementioned fact. Does this worry you? I urge you, don't be afraid. I'm nothing if not fair. Just to read that line at the very beginning was so you. So you're going to get gripped by page 1. From page 1 to the end, it's just a roller coaster ride. I'm not going to say the very last line because I think it's one of the best. It stays with you, and it haunts you, and it makes you think. I could go on forever, but I'm not going to. I definitely recommend it. It has become one of my favorite books. Marcus Zusak is a very talented individual. There is a really good interview with him from the last, I think it was the last Banned Books Week. I will link the interview down below, and I will also link the movie trailer down below, which was amazing. The girl who played Sophie, or the girl who played Liesel, Sophie, she was absolutely amazing. Just the way I pictured Liesel, which was awesome. Jeffrey Rush as Hans Huberman, who is probably one of my favorite characters in the book, and it's hard not to like him, did an amazing job, as did the whole cast, Emily Watson. It was just an amazing movie, and you should go see it. So I'll link the trailer down below for that as well. It's a very faithful adaptation. Of course, with adaptations, some things are different than others, but this was very faithful. And it didn't really get that much publicity, unfortunately, but I definitely recommend it to everyone. I gotta go catch a train. On Saturday, I'm going to be talking about another book that I read a little while ago, but I definitely want to recommend. And it happens to have been adapted for this Oscar season. So maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you won't. I hope you don't, to be honest with you. Take care, you guys. I'm going to go play in the snow and catch a train.